approximately 93 mile an hour, not really tuned up yet. But fuel economy was terrible. Part throttle wasn't really that great. One of the neat reasons for that is that the Holley carburetors don't have very good metering at all. So what I'm going to show you here is how the Edelbrocks and the Rochester carburetors work the same way. So what you have here, this is, for example, their tuning kit, their 1841 for their Thunder carburetor. You have metering rods and your jets. And these rods are actually controlled with these little springs. The rod actually goes through the jet, and it actually precisely meters the fuel going into the engine. Now, Holleys don't use that, and that's one of the main reasons why they're not the greatest street carburetor. You can fine-tune them, but it takes a lot of time, and you really need to know what you're doing. This is where I really prefer the Rochester or these Edelbrock carburetors for tuning. You really can't beat what they can actually do, part throttle and cruising, fuel economy, and so far it's probably one of the best carburetors. We just took this carburetor off. This is a 1970 Pontiac GTO. It has Kaufman heads on it. We just put on aluminum heads. They flow approximately 310 CFM. It's an Edelbrock Torque 2 intake that has been ported to match the head flow. And then we have a camshaft, a full roller camshaft, roller rockers. The camshaft in here is about 250 at 50 duration, approximately 600 lift cam. Very healthy running car. It has a Richmond 4+1 5-speed in the car with 273 rear gear ratio. And car is actually, we took it to Lancaster a few weeks ago, and it ran spinning down the track quite a bit. Low 8s at approximately 93 mile an hour in 8th mile, which is pretty good for, but I feel it should actually run better. And the streetability of the Holley wasn't that great. The first thing we noticed with the Edelbrock is we simply bolted on, excuse my little plug here for the vacuum port here, it's not very professional, but we noticed right away that the car just idled much more smoothly. The main difference in the Thunder Series carburetor is this spring-loaded air valve. Very similar to a Rochester carburetor, this gives the secondaries very good throttle response. You can fine-tune these. There's actually adjustment right in the side here. You can actually adjust the spring load on this air valve to precisely allow airflow to go through the secondaries when it's absolutely needed. One other complaint I had with the carburetor is that the fuel line going into it, you really can't get a low-profile air filter in it. So in my opinion, this should have came with a different type of inlet. They do have one you can buy aftermarket. They do have a dual feed line that hooks these two together, and it brings the front line down and out through the front. The other thing I didn't really care too much about the carburetor is giving it full throttle. One thing you always want to check the carburetors before you put them on the car is you want to give it full throttle. Make sure your throttle blades are opening fully. And this carburetor actually wasn't. We actually had to modify, we had to bend this rod here on the side a little bit, and there's a stop on this side over here. We had to grind a little bit to get the full throttle out of the car. It wasn't really 100%. But that's typical for the carburetor. Is very cost effective. These are about $380. But for the performance you get them, it's a very, very good value for what you're getting. Here's a Rochester that's taken apart. But these basically have the same thing. They have a spring-loaded secondaries on the Rochester. One of the best street carburetors ever made in there. The disadvantage of the Rochester is they don't really bolt up to a lot of intake manifolds because they have this very small primaries and large secondaries. So you're very limited on the type of intake you want to put it on. So for example, the Torque 2 Edelbrock intake I'm using, you can't bolt this directly to it. You got to use an adapter plate, and that doesn't really, help flow-wise with the carburetor matched to the intake. Let's go for a ride. show you what this thing runs like right out of the box. This is what we're measuring the oxygen or the air fuel ratio with. It's an O2 alert by Altronics. You can see it idle. Pretty much 14.6 to 1, 15 at idle. Pretty close. Car's idling very smooth. Car's 800-900 RPM. Right away, the first thing we notice is that the car just accelerates so much smoother, very little throttle. Really, it's quite amazing the difference between the Holly to this. Really good throttle response right away. I can even short shift it, you know, as early as 1500 RPM, and it chugs along pretty good. Okay, so we're going to do a roll on here from 2000 RPM in second gear, and we'll see what happens to the air fuel ratio. Here we're cruising about 55 mile an hour, 60, and you can see the air fuel ratio is a little too rich for cruising. I like to see this maybe in the 15.5 range. So let's go back to the shop. We'll take care of this and bring it back out and do some more recording. Reviewing the video, we actually found out that under wide open throttle, it was actually going rich, and we had a very lean condition while it was accelerating through the RPM range. So what we're going to do here, we're just going to remove the metering rods to see where we're at, what size are in there, what springs are in there, and so on and so forth. Just be careful doing you want any parts falling in the carburetor. I'm just going to close the choke here just for some insurance. Just going to get this totally out of the way here. So there's your metering rod for the primaries. This little assembly here, you can see there's a little spring that holds the rod in place. There's your rod. This goes through the jet down below. And here's your metering spring. So the spring actually helps the needle get forced up. So as the vacuum drops down, the needle actually comes up and richens the car up. So let's see where we're at. What I did is it was a little rich on the acceleration, and we're a little rich on cruising. We did get some hesitation, a lean condition while it was accelerating. So what we're doing is we're gonna we went 2 sizes bigger on the needle that'll actually lean out the high end and the cruising. And then what we did too to help the part throttle acceleration, we put a lighter spring in. We went the next size smaller. So this will cause the rod to open up a little quicker in the jet. And notice when you put these in here, you got to be kind of careful that the needle and the jet go in. You can drop the spring in first and set this down in there. But if you're not careful, it'll actually stick. So don't put your cover on unless it actually does that. See how it pushes up and down really nice? So don't force it in there. It should drop in really easy. When we did the one other side, we had to jiggle the needle around a little bit to get it actually through the jet. One thing when you're adjusting carburetors, or really anything for tuning, you don't want to make too many changes at once, because you don't know which change made that difference. So all we did was a spring in the metering rods. I did notice that the accelerator pump, there's an adjustment here. We were going to try and adjust this, but we're just going to leave it alone for now. We're going to see what this jet change has made, so let's go for a ride. You notice right here at idle, after making the changes, you see the idle mixture is definitely leaner. So you can tell the changing of the rods obviously changed the idle mixture a tiny bit, so they will have to tweak that when we get back. So right there you can see right away that the cruising is definitely leaned out. We could probably go even leaner yet. Okay, we're going to do a roll on here again.
a little hesitation down below. We're going to try and tighten up that air valve and see if we can get rid of that. Let's head back to the shop here now.
We're going to tighten up the air valve, because the only way to get rid of that lean condition is this air valve's open up too much lint and too much air, and thus we're getting a real mid lean condition. Or possibly we could compensate for that condition by getting more of an accelerator pump squirt, but we're already at the max adjustment at this accelerator pump squirt. So we're going to try this first, see how this works out. Let me loosen this up here. A little more tension here. Okay.
Throttle response seems pretty good. Just that air valve alone, we goose it. The response is right there. We're going to do a little launch here and see how it takes off. I don't think the car's run that good before, so pretty happy with the results. We're going to do some more fine tuning here, get that air valve, and hopefully get it to the track and bring you some time slips. Okay, thanks for watching. We're going to get this car to the drag strip. We'll see if the changes we made any differences. It feels a lot better. I'm going to probably call Edelbrock Tech Support, see if there's getting more information on what to do with that air valve, or maybe some way to richen that accelerator pump up. But be in touch or be in tune and watch some of my future videos. Thank you.